Now, with Iger supporting streaming, bringing streaming to this company, what's the next steps? Because there's a lot of big steps coming. You're going to buy the remaining stake you don't own in Hulu? Disney owns 67% of Hulu. Hulu is still losing money, but one of the best streaming platforms next to Netflix. Comcast owns the other 33%. Disney has a right to buy back Comcast's stake, has an option to do, which would happen before 2024, so all of next year. And that's being valued, just that stake, at around $10 billion right now. Now, do you want to spend another $10 billion on an asset you're having loads of trouble making money on? $10 billion? That's a lot of money to this company. Not easy to spend that much given their massive debt position, lack of meaningful cash flow because of how much money you're losing in streaming, and your commitment to spend, as Chapek said, $30 billion on new content this year, just in streaming. If you look at Hulu, as 44 million subscribers, less than 10% are Hulu Live, which commands a much higher average revenue per user. But think about it, because here's a dilemma on Disney. And listen up, because this is important for you to understand if you're thinking about buying Disney or buying puts on Disney or shorting outright. Because right now, everyone's looking, as an investor, turn around streaming operations ASAP. How do you do that? Well, maybe you're successful at doing it over the next 9 months. Starting to generate average revenue per users going up. Things are better. But you know what that's going to do? It's going to increase the value of Hulu. In other words, Hulu is going to be worth even more, which means that that $10 billion payment to purchase the remaining 33% could end up being $12 billion or even $15 billion. It's almost like a football team that's not going to make the playoffs. Do they start putting in all their subs this way they get a better pick? Or do they keep fighting with hopes of maybe crossing that line and getting into the playoffs, right? I mean, this is a big dilemma. Also, if you purchase that stake and you own Hulu outright, all NBC content, this is Comcast, is now going to be removed. We're talking about great content. People like to watch Chicago PD, Chicago Fire, Law & Order, SVU. That's going to be featured exclusively on Comcast, the Peacock streaming platform. Now, if you don't purchase the remaining stake and say, okay, we're not going to do it, you save the $10 billion, but you have to share a lot of the revenue, which is including the bundling services with Comcast. So both those options kind of suck. That's the position they put themselves in. But at the end of the day, I don't know how Disney can actually pay for the rest of Hulu right now. Yeah, they could take out debt, but it's not going to be pretty. You can increase debt right now? $10 billion is a lot of money. But what about its parks? I mean, recession is imminent, and you're raising prices like crazy on parks. I can't tell you how many people. I live in Florida, and even when I go to New York, the whole woke thing, that pissed off a lot of people. There's people that are like, I'm not going to Disney anymore. Why? Because you have a big competitor, Universal. Has lots of parks in Florida, also owns its own hotels and properties. I like to see those numbers to see how they're doing on that side. But even with a recession coming and you right the ship, will you still be able to command these higher prices? I don't know if you guys know what the price is for a one-day ticket. It's now $159 to $179. They have like 5 tiers. 4 tiers mean you can't go to the park. And the 5th tier is like, okay, you go whatever you want. So, if you're looking at the peak season, right, that's what you're going to pay for because that's most people outside of Florida. That's when they're able to go and take their kids on vacation. Not in the middle of a week of a school week. They can't. They'll do it during the same weeks, which is where they command the highest ticket prices. Very smart. And to put that in perspective, tickets were below 125 5 years ago. So you're raising prices over 8% annually, much higher than the average inflation rate. And prices are increasing every single year. That's what Disney does. But if you think about $179 per day per person for just one park, do the math on that. Don't worry, you don't have to. I did it. But a family of 4 is spending close to $5,000, which includes the park hopper. You want to go from one park to another and back and forth. It also includes like going on their Genie app and able to skip the line on certain rides. And also parking. $5,000. But you know what that doesn't include? Food, souvenirs, or how the hell you get to Florida? Air travel. I mean, add in those costs, it's $7,000 for Disney World on average. I mean, you could take a cruise and have connecting rooms for a family of 4, exclusive everything, and it's going to cost you less than $4,500. So I'm not sure how Disney can continue raising its prices. Not to mention how much of a cost this is for foreign travelers, which is huge when it comes to Disney. Again, I go to Disney a lot. I go to Universal a lot because I live in Florida. You get special deals and packages and stuff. And half the park is speaking different languages, which is cool. But with the dollar where it is, how expensive it is for people to come over, Asia, Europeans, I mean, holy cow. So you can see demand fall for this, especially into next year as people are closing their wallets. Clear evidence. You listen to most CEOs in retail companies are all saying it. They're seeing it right now. Walmart, Target, Amazon. Now, what would be the solution? How can Disney turn itself around? Let's cover that really quick. My advice, which is worth nothing, sell your entire stake in Hulu to Comcast. That's what they should do. You'll probably get $25 to $30 billion for it. It sends a message that you're throwing in the towel on streaming in terms of it being your growth model. Still keep Disney Plus, shrink it down, make a better version of it, a smaller version of it. Instead, now you could choose to license all of your amazing content in the library, which every streaming company is dying for. Sell the stake in Hulu. The move's going to fix your balance sheet. SG&A is going to go down. Those are the expenses going to go down incredibly. And now you can focus on parks, merchandise, movies, licensing your amazing content, and storytelling. The things that you're great at. And if you keep Disney Plus, ESPN, and sports, that's where the future of streaming is. Amazon just paid $1 billion a year to stream Thursday Night Football. I think it's a $12 billion deal for 12 years. People are like, these guys are nuts. They're crazy. They're insane. They got 15 million viewers on the first Thursday night game. More important, they had record signups to Prime, which is over $100. I talked early how return on ad spend and things, you track it over time where, you want to get people to your platform. After your platform, you're able to upsell them and put them through the grinder and they're going to buy a whole bunch of products. Think how much money those Prime members are going to spend on Amazon in the years ahead, which Amazon knows every single number. Not only that, the commercials and marketing during the shows is easily going to cover these costs for Amazon. Why is it such a huge success? Streaming sports? I mean, sports, football is the ultimate new content with no script. You don't know what's going to happen. Everyone watches it, especially in football, even if it's a shitty game, since tens of millions of people play fantasy football and have guys on every single team. And they like to watch that game just to see their guy in fantasy. You're sitting on ESPN, stream it. Forget about the ESPN Plus. Make it this big streaming platform. And they do. They have some games and some college games. But even with your properties, ABC and the rights, that's where you can make an absolute fortune. And the sports part of streaming, maybe keep that part of Disney. You're still going to see SG&A costs come down significantly. I mean, sports programming is much more expensive, but you could see the results. People watch it. I mean, some people got their ass kicked with buying the Olympics during COVID. That hurt. I think that was NBC. But so many sports. Come on. People love it. They watch it no matter what. Provide in that model, in a smaller model, for the best talent to make movies. Where maybe you give them a higher percentage of net sales instead of paying so much money up front. Sign deals with big names like Netflix did with Chappelle and Adam Sandler. Whether you like them or not, people love their stuff and watch their stuff all the time. So maybe keep a smaller version of Disney Plus, much better new content, stream those live sports through it, more condensed. That provides a lot of the new content. Maybe do that. Maybe that works. Or get rid of streaming altogether and just license your content out. Everyone's going to buy it, and you're going to have premium prices and buy it. It's a free checks coming in. And your cash flow is going to go through the roof. Now you can acquire new businesses, get into whatever you want. Now your balance sheet is strong again. Also, Disney has 150 million subscribers. Names, emails, addresses. They're not paying for Disney Plus because they don't like it. But they're probably very attractive competitors like Apple, even Amazon, who could easily monetize those names through their platforms. Iger was on the board of Apple. Apple's also seen a slowdown in growth. Apple could compare their names, those Disney names to their list, see if there's any crossover. But Apple can benefit from Disney's incredible marketing power, best in the world. We'll have tons of content for its own streaming service, but it doesn't make sense because you have too much debt. You have to get it down significantly. Apple needs to see a business model that could one day become profitable, just spit out tons of cash flow, which Disney Plus does not have. And with that said, as someone who covered Apple and Disney for decades, these are two of the most guarded, stubborn companies on the planet. I truly believe Apple would not be in this place if it still had Steve Jobs. I'm not picking on someone who's passed away. I'm just saying that Steve Jobs was very guarded. He didn't like to do deals with other companies or anything. And Apple opened up a little bit to that. Disney as well. I told you a story with Disney. When I went there, I went to Universal where Harry Potter. And originally, they went to Disney. The Rawlings went to Disney and said, this is what we want. We want exactly this. They said, nope. We have to put all of our merchandise all over this thing and do everything our way. And she said, nope, I'm not doing it. And she went to Universal. Disney needs to do things the way Disney does. Apple needs to do things the way Apple does. Again, they like doing things their own way. They're not big fans of partnerships. They prefer ownership. And Disney be willing to hand over the reins totally to Apple? I don't know. I have to look at the share structure, what's going on there, and how, maybe they can offer a price that's, shareholders are going to accept. But I'm only saying the Apple thing because people are throwing it out there. But again, your balance sheet is terrible. So I can't see Disney getting acquired by anyone right now. Because if it does, it needs to clean up that balance sheet, have a strong, long-term growth model, which it doesn't have. But selling Hulu is huge, I think, because Iger becoming the chief again, it creates more uncertainty for Disney. And I'm going to say the line I love to say, uncertainty is the death of stocks, but it does. What's going to happen? The guy just has a 2-year contract. Well, he's a media god with a great track record. He dropped the ball terribly in picking a successor. Well, he has to do that again in 18 months. When's Iger intent on speaking to the public about Disney's strategy? When's that going to happen? Because it seemed like a very quick move. He just fired Kareem Daniel, that's the chief of media and entertainment, who's in charge of Disney Plus. Just fired him today. But when do we hear the new growth plan for Disney? Investors need to hear that. If you're an investor, you need to hear what the plan is before going in at this price, because it's not cheap. And there's no plan right now. You're probably not going to hear that for a while. But if I'm looking at the numbers for Disney over the next 2 quarters, they're going to be horrible. And if you look at Disney stock, what's going to drive it? Profits, the strategy, which includes a clear-cut plan, 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, this is what we're going to do. And right now, you don't have any of this. You're not seeing huge profits, which are expected 18 months ago from streaming, still losing billions, still no strategy or game plan right now. So it's very tough to own Disney here while it's trading at 20 times forward earnings. And those are earnings that are pretty aggressive right now, in my opinion. But the next couple of quarters are going to be bad for this company. You will see sub numbers start coming down. Let's see if average revenue per user goes up a little bit. Not sure how I feel as an advertiser. Remember, Chapek said, well, we got so many advertisers lined up to advertise in Disney Plus. Well, say if that was me and I'm an advertiser and all of a sudden this change just happened, and I don't know the strategy going forward. I don't even know if Disney Plus is going to be a part of their future 5 years from now. But I was one of those tons of advertisers that Chapek said signed on to advertise on Disney Plus. I'm probably going to wait to see the strategy before paying to advertise on the platform. That's just me. Why wouldn't you? There's a lot of uncertainty now after this change. And with a recession imminent, is Disney still going to have the ability to raise prices in its parks and merchandise? I mean, you could see traffic start to slow. And given the price that families have to pay to go to Disney is borderline unaffordable to most. But I think long-dated puts are a great strategy just from the uncertainty. And if this stock breaks below 85, look out. If you look at a chart dated all the way back to the credit crisis, this was the low. It hit this low, continually hit this low, and always bounce off it. Then a credit crisis, COVID recently. But if you break below that, who knows what's going to happen? Where's the bottom? If you're a technical analyst and knows this stuff, email me. I like to know where's the bottom under 35 if it breaks, under 85 if it breaks that. So Iger probably a step in the right direction. I don't know if Iger was the right person. And again, he's just like the replacement for now because they felt like they had to get rid of Chapek. But for them to get rid of Chapek this fast, this quickly, I mean, even after the layoffs that he just announced, means that they looked under the hood and things are probably a lot worse. Because I'm surprised. I mean, they could have let this play out another 2 months and really came with a straight. For them to do it this quick, have the guy on the call, and this quickly, this quick of a decision, there's something that's not right. I mean, they could have let this stretch out another 2-3 months in the next quarter. They didn't. And that's what bothers me. There's probably a lot more going on under the hood than you could see with just the numbers, what I highlight. So just be careful with this name.